Hi everyone. The topic that we are going to present is working capital management. Myself is Sasikala Tyagaraja. My group members are Pavitra, Farah Diana and Noor Faraliana. We have divided working capital into three main categories that we are going to present today. First will be the factors that affecting working capital management. Second one will be the working capital management effects on financial performance. The third one is the impact of corporate governance in working capital management. There are two types of factors that can cause changes in working capital management of a firm. First is external factors, where we have analyzed the economic condition, financing approaches, and shareholders' wealth. And the second one is the internal factors, where we have considered management's financial knowledge, credit policy and collection management, inventory management. Internal factors will be focusing on a firm's activities where the management has full authority. However, external factors is beyond the firm's control and caused by uncertainties. Working capital is influenced by both external and internal factors, which may lead to opportunities or threats to a firm. There are many economic conditions that can influence working capital of a firm. Inflation is a common one. Inflation can be defined as constant increase in price of goods and services, as well as devaluation of currency occurs. During inflation, most of the firm will decrease their working capital since the cost of goods is in increasing trend. Besides that, inflation will also influence the working capital to decrease the short-term investments. Notice that smaller firms will pay more attention to the economic condition compared to larger companies and manage their working capital more efficiently as they are limited to external financing, unlike larger firms. High cost of working capital can become threat for a business, such as increasing cost of inventory and decreasing revenue generation. Second one will be the financing approaches. Capital expenditure will add value to the business and able to accomplish consumer demand easily. Larger firms may access easily to external funding if the existing investment in working capital are inadequate to contribute for the consumer's demand. Firms should practice estimating approximate working capital required for the business continuity during uncertainties. Firms may estimate the amount of working capital to be funded using company's assets, sales, and operating cash flow. However, the planning is essential to avoid under or overspending on working capital. Working capital is needed by every business regardless of the size of the firm. Third one is the shareholders' wealth. Working capital is also important in creating and increasing shareholders' wealth, where few firms may secure working capital such through shareholders' rights. Working capital plays an important role as it can impact or risk shareholders' wealth. For instance, when the company is in financial distress, bigger investment in working capital can lead to decreasing shareholders' wealth. Thus, it is important for the firm to analyze thoroughly on working capital to maintain and increase shareholder wealth. Moving on to the internal factors. Firm's financial management is essential for business continuity, where managers plays an important role in managing company's financial position. According to the agency theory, unsatisfactory remunerations and compensations leads to poor management decisions, which may affect the working capital of the firm. Few researchers proves that managers' remuneration is a contributing factor for the capital, where greater remuneration will boost managers to work efficiently on working capital of the firm. Managers required to maintain firm's current asset and liabilities to manage efficient working capital policy to increase the worthiness of a firm. The second internal factor is credit policy and collection management. Account receivables is a credit opportunity given to consumers where the trading of goods takes place, but the amount to be paid is yet to realized. Higher amount of account receivable will lead to cost opportunity and bad debt, which might affect the firm's if consumers' creditworthiness not guaranteed. Working capital management should strive to ensure their credit items paid at the soonest without threatening their business relationship with respective consumers. Credit and collection period has significant relationship where the shorter collection time guarantees business efficiency and good credit policy may generate firms revenue through adequate sales and as well as enable customer to measure quality of goods. The last internal factor is inventory management. Firms should have efficient and detailed inventory management process to monitor and control the level of inventory in order to supply sufficient demand from consumers. Inventory management plays a crucial role in determining firms' performance, as such excessive inventory involves greater amount of money and it lowers the working capital. Inventory is listed under current assets in financial statements, where indirectly it influences working capital performance of a company. Efficiency of inventory management can be determined through the ability of a firm supporting consumers' demands, such as sufficient level of inventory can increase the sales as well as decrease the risk of working capital.
Working capital management effects on financial performance. So it can be efficient and it also can be inefficient. For efficient part, working capital management actually can increase in cash flow leads to increases in the firm's growth opportunities and return to shareholders. And it can be achieved by planning and controlling current assets and current liabilities. For working capital management, it is inefficient in certain companies or firms because it reduces profitability and it also leads to financial crisis. So regardless of a firm's profit orientation, size and nature of business, amount of working capital plays an essential role in measuring firm's performance. An effective working capital administration, positioning and controlling of present resources and existing debts in a way that executes the danger of letdown to meet due here and now assurance from one perspective and keep away from over the top interest in these benefits then again. By the study of Zaibi Wahid and Aga Ahmad Nabi on 2018, they stated that the liquidity of firm is not dependent on the liquidation estimation of its advantages. The critical factor in improving financial performance of firms is the management of account receivable. As we know in the terms of days collected. The collection of payment on time is essential for construction firms in generating earnings before any contractual obligation must be paid. This statement we get from the study from NICHIC, AIK and PECLING T on 2019. And also we get a statement from the study of Al-Mawsheki at 2019. Firms also can increase their economic value added by adopting efficient working capital management and reducing their cash conversion cycle, their CC.
Hi, I'm Pavitra. Will be present on working capital management and its effects on profitability as well. So, working capital management policy can be understood via aggressive investment policy and aggressive financing policy. AIP refers to minimizing the holding of current assets to generate higher returns by releasing more capital from current assets into higher yielding assets. It associated with higher risk because holding lower level of current assets results in inadequate liquidity and higher potential of stock out, while AFP refers to high proportion of short-term liabilities held by the firm. It associated with higher risk as well because short-term loan must be paid off upon reaching its short-term maturity. But then AFP has its own benefits because it has flexibility of borrowing, low usage conditions and fewer restrictions. From the finding of Ng, we can understand that when working capital policy is aggressive, the profitability is high while the liquidity will be low and the risk is high. But when we can see that from flexible policy, we will be at low profitability but high liquidity and low risk. So this policy have been supported by the finding of Ng by saying that firms' profitability is negatively related to aggressive investment policy and positively related to aggressive financing policies. Low degree of aggressive investment working capital policy by increasing investment in current assets will increase the profitability of a firm. While when we apply relatively high degree of financing working capital by increasing investment in current liability, it will increase the gross operating margin. Cash conversion cycle. So most of the finding using CCC as a common measure of the efficiency of working capital. From the study of Sariati, the traditional view mentioning that the longer CCC will hurt a firm's profitability because a longer period of investment in working capital forces a firm to seek external financing. But then external financing will be high in cost compared to the internal financing. Refer to the equals length of time between the firm's actual cash expenditure to pay for productive resource like labor and materials. CCC can be reduced in three ways: by reducing the inventory conversion period by processing and selling goods quickly. The second will be reducing receivables period by speeding up collection from sales. Third, lengthening payables or deferred period by delay the firm's own payments. It has been found from Ponsian studies. So that's a few findings have been supported for the cash conversion cycle. From the Sariati findings, we know that she have been used 1,628 firm year for the period 1996 to 2006, which involved 6 different economic factors. The finding shows that the reducing cash conversion period will results in higher profitability. It also has been supported from Chick. The study has been done by her is on construction companies listed in Bursa Malaysia from the year of 2012 to 2016. The finding shows that the shortening collection period and a positive working capital are significant to improve financial performance of local construction firms. Effective working capital management does not contribute significantly to operating cash flow and share price of construction firms. The management of account receivable is the most critical factor to improve the performance of the local construction firms. But then there is a opposite side of the findings from Ponsian, where she has been studied on manufacturing companies listed in Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange from the year 2002 to 2012. The finding shows that cash conversion cycle has positive relationship with the firm's profitability. It also has been supported by Ng's study on 122 firms listed in industrial product sector of Bursa Malaysia from the year 2007 to 2012. Cash conversion cycle has positive relationship with firm's profitability and have positive relationship with gross operating income. So here we can understand that working capital management is different to the nature of firms. So just now, the construction firms have a negative relationship, but manufacturing firms have a positive relationship with firm's profitability.
Hi, my name is Faralena. So today I will explain about the impact of corporate governance in working capital management. Efficient management of working capital is essential for most firms. Efficient working capital management can greatly reduce the required investment in operation, increase free cash flow, and consequently the firm's value. The importance of efficiently managing working capital is irrefutable. Given its great significance, most of financial managers' time and effort are expended towards bringing back non-optimal levels of working capital to their optimal levels. Consistently, Nazir and Afza said that the optimal level of working capital is mainly determined by the method adopted by the management, and that continuous monitoring is thus required from managers in order to maintain the working capital component at their optimal level. Accordingly, the issue of effective corporate governance in overseeing managers is raised. The possibility for the scenario of managers not exerting their best effort to attain optimal working capital level is blamed on the misalignment of the managers and shareholder interests. It's a typical agency problem. Inefficient management of working capital encouraged by inadequate government practices has a negative effect on the wealth of the shareholder. Inefficient management of working capital is like a sound governance practices inspect how management is using the firm's resources. Inventory, receivables, and payables are all essential elements of working capital management, but the most sensitive and important is cash, which can easily be used by management to its desire. Next, firm aims to achieve financial objective with efficient management of working capital component. In order to achieve this subject, it must come with systematic framework. So what is systematic framework we use? It is a corporate governance. So its objective is to ensure the transparency and accountability of all those individuals who are part of policy formulation and implementation. Corporate governance impacts shareholder wealth through governing the working capital management policy formulated by the Chief Executive Officer, CEO, and the Board of Directors. CEO and Board of Directors have the authority to formulate the policy related to the management of cash, purchase of inventory, setting credit term for customer and supplier, and all other organizational policies. Therefore, their policy and action may perform a prime role in maintaining a high cash balance, high volume of account receivable and payable, and a slow cash conversion cycle. CCC. So CCC is negatively affected by poor policy related to inventory, receivables, and payables management. Excessive cash balance may signal agency issue as it demonstrates management risk aversion by maintaining high cash balance. By managing working capital effectively, shareholder can maximum return on their invested capital. Weak corporate governance might have adverse consequence for cash management, account receivable, inventory, account payable, and cash conversion. Okay, corporate governance can be divided by 6 categories. First is board size, second is CEO duality, and then board independence, number of board meetings, audit committee independence, and lastly is ownership concentration. First impact of working capital management is board size. Increasing the number of members on the board improve working capital management, and thus no agency problem result from large size board. The greater the number of board member, the higher their monitoring effectiveness, and this may possibly be interpreted as each additional member adds value to the board through additional governance of top managers. This finding opposes the expected positive impact of board size on working capital level, yet is in line with Gill and Baker's result of its negative impact on current ratio and cash conversion cycle. Next is CEO duality. Positive effect on account receivable days. Confirming Gill and Baker finding, also a slightly significant positive effect was found with cash holding in line with agency theory. This agency theory perspective of CEO duality increasing corporate liquidity given the conflict of interest and with the results. Positive effect on account payable days, which will act on decreasing on the cash conversion cycle and thus lessening the corporate working capital levels. This is consistent with the stewardship theory on CEO duality, streamlining the decision-making process and thus improving the efficiency of working capital management. It can therefore be interpreted that in the European region, having the CEO chairing the board on one hand leads to high credit terms and high amount of cash tie up, and on the other hand long payment terms with suppliers. The third impact of corporate governance is board independence. Non-executive board members being unable to minimize agency costs and thus the result of increased working capital levels. In line with Wazir Zaman and Arumugam, findings support the view of independent board member being ineffective in overseeing management due to the unclear process of electing them in the first place, which render them just cheerleader of management decision. However, we've also found a strongly significant negative relation with account receivable days. This is consistent with the result reported in Kishnik and Gill 8 studies, whereby increased board independence shorten the cash conversion cycle and thus better working capital management. Therefore, we were unable to find consistent result for the direction of the effect of board independence on working capital levels. Next is board meeting. Board meeting negative impact on cash conversion efficiency. The number of board meeting is not determinant of working capital management, yet the fact that it is a key measure of corporate governance makes it plausible to have an influence on working capital management in other countries. Lipton and Lodge suggest that a main problem faced by directors in performing their duty is lack of time. Board meeting not being used for meaningful decision and that they are mostly consumed in routine tasks that hamper monitoring of management. Next is audit committee independence. Higher independence of the audit committee leads to better working capital management. The greater the independence of the audit committee, the less inventory days, which mean less working capital tight. This is in line with Gill and Baker's assertion that independent members on the audit committee reduce agency costs via auditing the working capital components. Next is ownership concentration. Insignificant result on determining factors of working capital management. In the Brazilian market, ownership concentration, a dummy variable that assumes ownership concentration to occur if one of investor own over 20% of the company share, is not a statistically significant determinant of working capital management. That is found by Palombini and Nakamura. Relation between ownership concentration and each of the following cash conversion cycles: account receivable days, account payable days, and inventory days held is negative, which suggests that company with large investor can inhibit decision concerning assess current asset beyond the company's needs. That such finding might be affected by the insufficient public data in Brazil on proxy for management monitoring mechanism. This finding is open to several interpretations. A possible explanation may lie in proxy for ownership concentration causing measurement error. Another possible interpretation is that management monitoring by large investor may in fact be an irrelevant factor of working capital level in European firms. So to wrap up is efficient working capital management should consider both external and internal factors that will affect the working capital management. Firm also should have efficient estimation of working capital from various aspects to be funded for the business growth and continuity. Working capital measure a company efficiency and represent the liquid asset that are available with a firm. It also indicates firm's short-term financial health and its capacity to meet day-to-day operating expense. Lastly, working capital management has a significant impact on firm performance. That's all from our group, and thank you.